Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life.
When you set out into the world to create your own design business, you do not expect all the consequences of that choice. I thought I was going to be a professor of design. I thought that I would be teaching at a university somewhere. But when the time actually came after I taught for a little while at the University of Minnesota, when the time came, I knew I needed the flexibility. I wanted to stay home with my kids. That was just my choice. I wanted to be at home with them, but I still wanted to design or do something. And so I started creating this design career, and it could have gone a lot of different ways, you guys. I mean, I could have just been a freelancer. I could have become a web designer. I could have gotten into a really different niche market than the one I'm currently in. But it's like every decision along the way, and like it's crazy. It ends you up in this very specific place. For me, that was the craft industry. I ended up in the craft industry being a designer. It became a very natural place for me to be. I knew a lot of people in the industry by virtue of where I had previously lived. When I look back, it's just really funny to see that even my senior thesis project, marketing project, was for a large scrapbooking company at the time. And, I left, went away, went to Minnesota, and then came back to Utah. I'm not from Utah, but that's where I ended up to start a design career. And looking back, there has been some unintended consequences. So I think when you're starting a design career, there are a couple of things at play. One is that you want to be flexible, right? For me anyway, I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at the time, or 4-year-old, 1-year-old and 4-year-old, they're 3 years apart. And I knew I wanted to be flexible. I wanted to be at home with them, but I also needed something. I knew for myself that I needed something, a creative outlet, okay? So I knew I needed flexibility. That's what I set out to really build. And then second to that, I knew I needed money. I had just finished graduate school. My husband had finished law school. We had so much student loan debt, almost to the point where it was like as much as our mortgage, so it was like we were paying 2 mortgages, and we were just out of school, still figuring it out. And so money was not an option. I had to make money. And I was willing to make money anyway someone told me how. I was going to do all the freelance work, and I did quite a bit of it. I took on projects, and I was also willing to figure out what was going on this whole internet thing with digital scrapbooking, which if you've been in a boot camp, that's where I got started. So I was like, I need flexibility, I need income, and I had spent all these years training a skill, to be a designer. And I was like, it makes 0 sense for me to do anything else. I should be a designer. That's the thing I'm trained to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. So those are the things I set out to do. And I thought I could talk about the 3 unintended consequences of those actions. Now, there are tons of unintended consequences here, but I'm going to tell you the 3 that has been surprising to me that, even in the last year, as I have been looking at it, has been a big eye opener for me as I look at my business, as I look at what I've created. There's the saying, like all tides rise. So like you're trying to raise one thing up and like all the other things rise. That's kind of what it's been like for me. And so I thought I would share some of that insight with you, and just know as you are building your design business, as you are building your creative business, that there are going to be unintended consequences, some good, some bad, but I hope mostly good. I hope that there's all these wonderful things that happen in your business that you didn't intend for them to happen. Okay. So the first one on this list is residual income. No one could have told me that was what I was creating. And it just so happened to be the field I'm in. And now I teach it because it has been such a powerful thing. The bottom line is, I know a lot of people call it passive income. I like residual better. It fits better with what I feel like we do as designers. But when I was freelancing, I kind of made this transition into digital products. And while I do have lots and lots of contracts with people, and I don't mind them, I actually love a good contract. At the same time, over the last 14 years, I've built all of these digital products that have turned into residual income for me. What does that mean? That means I can take a month off, I can take a week off, I can take 6 weeks off, I can take a year off, and there's still income coming in from those products. I didn't set out to build this thing, build my design business with that in mind. It's just something that happened, and oh man, have I appreciated, especially this last year as I have been teaching more. I haven't had as much time to design. I used to design 60 hours a week, right? Like, it's just like, that is my heart. That's what I do all the time. But as I've been teaching and building my business and growing my team, I haven't had as much time to design. I still design, but not 60 hours a week, which I hope some of you get to do, because gosh darn it, it's amazing. It's so fun to design that much. So I really didn't expect that there was going to be this piece of the puzzle that would continue to pay me even when I didn't have a lot of time to put into it. So that was the number one really amazing unintended consequence that I didn't expect out of this business. The second thing is something I've talked about in the last 2 podcasts, which is I did not realize that I was modeling for my kids what they could do with their lives. In fact, if anything, I felt quite a bit of stress that I had this side business that wasn't even really a side business. It was like a full-time business, like to the point where like I was making so much more than my husband that I was like the breadwinner, right? And so there was all this stress involved, not sure if I was doing the right things. But what ended up happening was that because the tools were hanging out, like my girls could sew whenever they wanted to, because there was an awful lot of fabric and there was always 1 or 2 sewing machines out, that they learned how to sew. Because there were always paper things hanging out, glue, scissors, all the things, they were cutting and making things, right? Even Felicity found my best scissors when I think she was 3, and snipped her finger because she was making me something for her birthday on her own, and we ended up in Instacare getting a stitch, right? Like, because the tools were available. So don't make them that available. Apparently I made them a little too available. But she knew she could come into whatever space I had and take those things and build for herself. So I really think that modeling for your kids, and I think there's a lot of good done in just encouraging our kids to do well, but I think there's a ton more power in doing what you love, living the life you have always wanted to live, chasing your big dreams, and letting your kids see it, and talking to them about it, and talking to them about money, you guys. I think it's an interesting thing in our society. We don't want to talk to our kids or other people about money. Because it's a little nerve-wracking now. You shouldn't be talking to everybody about it. But my Design Suite members know that we talk about money. Because when you talk about money, you get an idea of what you need to do to get to whatever level you're trying to get to. Same with my kids. We talk about money. And you will see and hear, and I think there are all sorts of stats, that families who spend time talking about money, who teach and educate their children about money, the further those kids can go. They know what to expect in life. I think it's a great resource. And so I think encouraging is great. I think living it is better. That's the whole do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. How about do as I do? Just do what I am doing. Like, I am chasing my dreams no matter what. I'm doing my best to balance, and you guys know I'm always doing my best, and you should do that too. Like, I have big dreams. You do too? Let's go after them. What holds us back from it? Okay. So I'm huge on that, and I cannot even believe that this has been an unintended consequence. It's one of those things. It takes a long time to see. I told you they were 1 and 4, And we'll see what happens with my son. He's quite a bit younger than them. But just seeing them now as teenagers and getting ready to leave the roost in the next 5 years or so, and watching them chase what they want, get excited about what they want. And me not discouraging them, me just going, that's going to be a lot of money. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. Okay. So there's always a way to figure it out. There's a great book Marie Forleo has called It's All Figure Outable or something like that. Go check it out. It's a great book. And the truth is that it is. Everything is figure outable. Okay. Okay. So third unintended consequence. I did teach a little bit. Most of my Design Suite members know this because some of them came from this early on. I did teach some Illustrator and some Photoshop classes a long time ago, like 12 years ago. So my business is about 14 years old now. It is 14 years old now. And, back then I taught a couple of classes and then I didn't anymore. I spent most of my time designing. I was doing so well designing, it didn't make a ton of sense to teach. The 14 years of designing and figuring out how to make a good amount of money as a designer in residual contracts, like skill, just like kind of figuring out the whole system in the craft industry on how to do it, has led me back, like circled right back around to me teaching. Now, I had always said, maybe at some point I would teach at a university again. Like that would be a really fun thing for me because I love teaching. It has been surprising to circle back around to it now the way I have and bring it together, not as individual classes. There are so many individual classes you guys can take out there that are a month, 3 months, or like, Skillshare where you're just learning Illustrator. And I came back around this time and I said, this is not the way I would ever teach it. If you were in my university classroom and I had responsibility for you, this is not the way I would do things. I wouldn't do what's currently being done in the marketplace. I don't like it. It doesn't teach people really how to make money. It's not teaching people how to become real designers. And what could I do that would completely change people's lives? Because that's where I was really at. So the unintended consequence of me doing 14 years of building my own design business, making multiple six figures doing it, was that I now have the opportunity to come back to teaching in a totally different light. And the teaching became what you guys know now is the Design Suite program, which is a year-long program, which, I've been told is a little bit crazy. A whole year is crazy. Why not cut it down to 6 months? Why not cut it down to 3 months? And I, with myself, with integrity, at this point in time, I just knew that a year was necessary to get you on your feet, to make you money so that you could get the money you put into my program was an investment so you could 10x it, so you could 100x it. Some of you are going to go on to have amazing design careers, making tons of money from this little investment. And that's what I was really interested in. I thought 1 year, what can I squish into 1 year that would be equal to a 4-year degree, right? And it has been so amazing to come back around. And I was really quite worried that I would get into this and be teaching. I feel really responsible for people when they come into my program. And knowing me, be like, why am I not just designing? I make plenty of money designing. Why am I teaching again? And I knew that for myself to level up, that I needed to get other people to level up with me. I knew that was going to be part of the process. So that has been a really interesting unintended consequence that I really wasn't expecting. The other thing I didn't expect was just how much joy I would find in it. There's so much joy in it. And the emails I get from Design Suite members, what I see people creating and making their first time in Illustrator, and Erin just had brought in a couple of things like these cool butterflies that she had made and designed. I was just like, okay, here we go. It gets me so excited. There's so much room out there for so many designers, good designers, really good designers. And I just thought, if I could create them, if I could help people really, these creatives really become good designers, oh man, the internet would be a way prettier place. And I would like that. And I think you would like it too. So it's just been a really exciting thing. I am excited for you wherever you are in your journey. Maybe you're listening to this because you're just a creative. Maybe you're listening to this because you're in my Design Suite program. Maybe you're listening to this because you want to become a designer. What I'm going to tell you is this. Look for those unintended consequences. Keep on the path you're meant to go on. But those unintended consequences, and there's going to be a lot of good ones. There might be a few bad ones too, but most of the time it's like a lot of good ones if you're on the right path. Look for them, acknowledge them, and just get excited for what you're creating and doing, because all the tides rise, you guys. All the tides rise. And I'm excited for you to really get going on your journey. All right. I hope you enjoyed this. I wonder if those 3 unintended consequences are the ones you thought I was going to say. If it is, and you're on YouTube, make sure and leave me a comment. If you want to check me out on Instagram, the Instagram feed has made a little bit of a change over the last couple of months to more design related versus quilting related, which has been very, very fun for me. That's at Carina Gardner, which is Carina. Gardner is Gardner, and I can't wait to see you there.
Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.